Today, we are really happy to be able to come to you and talk to you about something that is really a passion of ours. We're going to talk to you about a course, but it's not going to be about the course. We have a course here that we call the Specialist Course in Improvement Science. We offer a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt as an option for the course, and it is in its fifth year iteration of the course, and it is evolved every single year. But the magic of the course is not the content of the course. Really believe that the magic of the course is the faculty and the makeup of the individuals who have created it and who teach it. And so what we wanted to be able to do is share with you some of the content about the course, but really we want to give you a behind the curtain view of what goes into it and the teamwork involved to make something like this happen. I'll introduce you to the individuals, actually my counterparts, the ones that will be sharing this space with me. My name is Ryan Darke. I am the director of the course, and my faculty that help teach the course, many of you probably already know them, include Hurley Smith, Jake Mickelsen, Jakaria, Stewart, as well as 4 Master Black Belt candidates that we will introduce you to in a moment, and I'll share what makes them so special to this course as well. So without further ado, I'd like to jump into some of the content, and what we plan to do is have a series of slides where we're going to talk through what we believe makes up the special sauce of this course. And then at the end, we'll leave about 15 minutes for questions and answers. So if you would, here we go. Let's jump right in. Okay, so what is the course? So here at Stanford, we have several different courses for improvement science. We have our RIGHT training, which is the Realizing Improvement Through Team Empowerment, and that covers some of the basics of leading improvement. If you were to look at this course, we also have our advanced course, which is more really for improvement leaders. The RIGHT course is really for multidisciplinary teams, which leaves a middle one, the specialist course, which is for individuals who are interested in leading improvement, understanding how to lead improvement as the improvement professional. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be in operations. What it means is you could be a physician, a nurse, an ATP, a leader, a frontline individual who's interested in improvement. We take all different types from all over the country in this course, and find that it's been extremely successful. It covers the content that you see here. And what differentiates our course from other maybe traditional Lean Six Sigma Black Belt courses, and why we don't even call it that, is that we go beyond that content. We teach coaching, we teach human factors, we teach design thinking, data visualization, publishing, presenting, all sorts of content that you wouldn't find in a normal course, because we believe that makes us different. And that's what you need for doing this work within healthcare. So when we think about the dynamics that are required to put something like this together, a diverse course like that continues to evolve, continues to get better, continues to practice the methods that we teach of PDSA, constantly iterating on it to make things better. We need a group. We need a team that is able to do that, is able to help us to sharpen each other, to challenge each other, to call each other out when necessary, to help us to see our blind spots. So you see the 4 here on the left. That includes myself, Jake, Hurley, and Jakaria, and we were effectively helping to create this course. We weren't the founders of the course, and that will come later. But we have continued to build on the foundation of the course and continue to make it better. And recently, this last year, we brought on 4 Master Black Belt candidates So we have Shalisha, Jen, Joy, and Chessa that have come to even make this course even better and help to teach the course. And so we're constantly evolving it, constantly sharpening, and those four have helped us to see things that the four of us didn't see before. And so it really allows this constant improving within this faculty, which makes this really quite magical. I'm going to pause a second before I jump to the next slide to see if any of the three others want to share anything.
Yeah, Ryan, this is actually my favorite slide in the entire presentation because it's pictures of us. No, but I actually do have a comment to make on this slide. I don't think I fully appreciated how often I'm wrong until I got married. And I have an even deeper appreciation for how often I'm wrong because of the people that you see on the screen. And for both of those groups, it's the best feeling ever. Because Brian's right, that the challenges that come at all of us from this tight-knit group of people that have a ton of experience that's similar, but also not, because we all came from very different places, learned from very different people. Just the other day, we were looking at the course, and I'm actually slated to teach this Friday, and I was showing this group what I plan on teaching, and I pulled up this one part that we've always taught. It's on capability analysis, and I said, I'm pulling this, and I'm not going to teach it on Friday because I think it's dumb. And the group basically chimed in, and they're like, actually, Hurley, because you think this is dumb, that's why you have to teach this. You have to keep it in there. And all of the senior people are like, no, like, you're right. Like, we get this wrong all the time. People get this wrong all the time. We have to fix it. And in our master black belt candidates, they're like, oh yeah, this gets missed constantly. So having the blend of experience, both in years and in where it came from, I think sharpens all of us.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll just add that not only our experience and where we come from, but our personalities. I mean, how often do we engage in a course that we actually spend money for to sit in, and we can't wait for it to be over? So this is a really dynamic opportunity to not only engage with curriculum that may not be familiar to you, but we all teach it in a way that we actually have a formula where we can't talk the whole time. Like, we have an engagement formula. We want to hear from you. We want to learn. We want you to learn asynchronously, but also with the group. And so we're really intentional about the experience, not to push out some curriculum at you and hope you're drinking from the fire hose fast enough to keep some to your belly, but that we're actually making sure that you can absorb the content and use the content, fall in love with the content, and make it a part of who you are and how you look at opportunities moving forward. So.
Perfect.
One last
Perfect.
comment. One last comment.
Go ahead.
It backs up what Jakaria was saying. Yeah, we all, the four of us, got our black belts other places, and that was one of the things that we all agreed to when we started this course, that we couldn't stand about where we got our black belts, which was the way we certified is you had to present a 200 slide deck with every single tool in the deck and present it as though it's one project, and it was painful. Like, there was absolutely no discerning why we were using these things or how we were getting the most value out of the content. And so I think that was another thing that made this exciting. And so we're of like mind that we want what we're teaching and what we're doing to make sense, to be pragmatic, to be applicable to life at Stanford and in healthcare.
Awesome. So this is what we look like, but this is how we show up.
Yeah. So when you see this picture, I'm just curious, and if you want to come off mute or put it in the chat, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you see this? And I'd love to hear from folks. It was, well,
it was, yeah. Yes, it was AI.
Absolutely. But we're fun, right? So if you haven't felt it already, we actually enjoy coming together to create this content and to share it with others. But we don't enjoy it just because Hurley's funny and Jake's humble and has cowboy stories and Ryan's the grandfather of us all. That's not what we enjoy about it. We enjoy the opportunity to come to work and actually find synergies with our excellence. We appreciate the opportunity to come together with like-minded people that make us humble every day and walk away knowing that the world is a better place because we can challenge each other and we can grow one another. And let's be honest, we're talking about teams. The teams aren't made to make sure everybody likes each other. We have to be functional. So we're really specific about our purpose, why we're here, what the expectations are for the outcome. And then we find the best way possible to make sure that not only we have fun, but the people that are engaging in the curriculum have fun as well. But our meetings, like, we have to have a timekeeper because we will go on and on and on because we're enjoying it. We're drinking the juice. We're sauced up. And we're always learning. That's the other thread I think that connects us all, is that we love to learn. We love to learn. And this is a place that's safe to learn. It's safe to question. We encourage question. And so, yeah, improvement's not always like this, though, is it? So I want you to reflect as we move through the presentation that it's not always going to feel this way. And that's okay, too, because tension is healthy and things don't grow without pain. So this is the ideal state, and I want you all to hold that. And it's possible for you because we found it. But no, just on the balancing perspective, when it's not fun and when it's painful, it's okay too, as long as you learn and grow from it. And we make sure we incorporate that into everything we do as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. So that leads us to our next few slides, and that is a lot of us come from similar trauma. And actually that helps us to be able to have this feeling when we're together, because we do come from diverse but similar backgrounds. So Hurley, why don't you take it from here?
Yeah, and just a brief note on just the historical context of this, right? So if you think about the 1980s, right, there was an NBC special that said, if Japan can, why can't we? American industry is scratching its head trying to figure out why it is that foreign produced products have now eclipsed domestically produced products in quality. It's actually, if you look it up, it is the quality crisis of the 80s, the manufacturing quality crisis of the 80s. Well, healthcare had its own quality crisis about 2 decades later. Remember To Err Is Human? Remember Crossing the Quality Chasm? Remember Dartmouth's Atlas, right? All these publications started to come out, giving us a wake-up call saying, hey, you're not as safe as you think you are. And you're not as quality as you think you are, American healthcare. And a lot of American healthcare leaders some of which you see on the screen here, they took that to heart and they said, we're going to get serious about this. We're going to get serious about quality, and we're going to figure out how to be quality from the people who we think are the best at this. And the people who just went through this themselves happen to be manufacturing. And where did American manufacturing learn that from? Well, they learned it from the people kicking their butts, the Japanese manufacturing sector. Interestingly, where did Japanese manufacturing learn it from? Well, they learned it from us, learning from them. You go back down that rabbit trail. It's actually really interesting. But the point is, American healthcare went on this quality revolution where many organizations decided we're going to be lean, we're going to be top quality, we're going to stand up a performance improvement team, and we're going to do this. And we're not just going to do this a little bit. We're going to do it big. We're not just going to do tools. We're going to do transformation. And so I know I, for one, was starting my career at the very beginning of this, when all these healthcare organizations were creating new teams. And it was exciting, right? I remember buying into, I'll call it an ideology. And I think all of us at some point did. This is it, right? Viva la revolution. We're going to do this and we're going to make healthcare great and it's going to be awesome. But then something happened. About 10 or so years later, like, the vast majority of those improvement teams either dissolved completely or were significantly dismantled in some way. And so, having been on this journey, many of us, I know I was there for 3 of these places to experience this. You can't help but do some reflecting on your own trade, right? Your own practice, and wonder what led to all of this. And I think that the best way to share that with you is to share some of our principles and how we work together as a team and how we think about improvement today. And one of the first principles is we are methodologically agnostic here. I use the word ideology, and I think that that's accurate. One of the big mistakes that I think that the early adopters made of improvement in healthcare was they became zealots for whatever their chosen ideology was. Improvement methods were not just things that were to be a means to some healthcare quality outcome end. The methods themselves became the goal. Are you lean enough? Are you Six Sigma enough? It actually created quite a toxic work environment for many of us, right? And anytime somebody disagreed with you, right, it was, oh, you need to do some A3 thinking on that, because if you did A3 thinking, you wouldn't be disagreeing with me anymore, would you? It was that kind of stuff.
Which is also one of the reasons why we don't actually name the course a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. I mean, it was certainly to all those other reasons, because it's much more than that. But we don't want it to be about the terms. We feel like the terms can actually be more divisive than inclusive. And so we've seen where it's torn organizations apart. It's divided people, and those terms do sometimes divide people. And so we are fiercely against that. So you'll hear that come out.
Yeah. And one last comment on the method agnosticism is that you still hear things that sound good, right? For example, we want to be an organization with one shared methodology. Sounds awesome, because it sounds like you wouldn't get a lot of confusion. Everybody would be on the same page. And it would be awesome if every single problem called for the same method. And they don't. So you try to use the same methods, the same tools, regardless of the breed of the problem that you're looking at, you're going to realize how rocky that feels. So the next piece is the ability to tell a compelling story. This is going back, I think, to our shared experiences being trained at other places. Is a lot of improvers, they think that the story is the tools, right? I used a Pareto analysis for this, and then I did a measurement systems analysis for that. And then check out this capability study. That's a 4 Sigma performance that we brought to 5 Sigma performance. Nobody understands what the hell you're talking about. And in improvement and in life, I would say, you could be 100% correct technically. But if people don't understand the story behind that, the why, it doesn't matter. And the thing is, like, we're trained to use technical tools that will give us that certainty. I mean, hell, it quantifies probability of being right and wrong. It feels good, right? But if you're missing the story, none of those tools matter. And in fact, in our course, the defense itself, the vast majority of the defense, like I'm looking at my colleagues, if you're going to fail a defense, it's not going to be for misapplication of a tool. It'll be because the story wasn't there. And that's what we absolutely refuse to certify people without. This next bullet is pretty similar, right? Is meeting teams where they are. I think that when you have it as an ideology, you tend to use it and wield it regardless of where your audience is. And I'll give you an example. You know, if you've got somebody who's never heard of an A3 before, as an example, A3 is a problem-solving tool, never heard it before, and you slap an A3 template in front of them, that's going to be a pretty intimidating experience. That's a lot to take in if you've never experienced that before. At Stanford, we start to see 4-box A3s, a simplified version of the larger A3 that we teach, just to take it down a couple notches in complexity. And I think that flexibility, right, the willingness to take different approaches, modify methods, use different methods depending on who you're talking to and where they are, is another big component of this. And this becomes even more important the more you learn about improvement science, because when you go through the specialist course, you're going to come out of it knowing a ton more than anyone else that you're largely going to be around. And so you've got to be very thoughtful about what you're saying, how you're saying it, what jargon is there.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're looking to shape practitioners, right? We're not trying to specialize anyone in one thing. We're not trying to push, and we'll talk about dull tools in the course, but we're not trying to push a dull tool on a situation, right? Our approach is to say, what could the world present you with, and how can we distill it so you know how to approach it or how to figure out how to approach it.
Yeah, and I'll go through these last two bullets really quickly. Many of you, if you're improvement trained, you know what the idea is of signals versus noise, common cause variation versus special cause variation. That's actually not what we're talking about with this bullet. This is a more grand view of this, and in discerning what we can control from what we cannot, what we must change from what we could change, what truly adds value from what doesn't. This is a constant exercise that we are going through in between every session that we do. Quite honestly, just about every work endeavor that we're in, it is constantly what is going well, what isn't going well, and needs adjustment. And then lastly, communicating the impact of our work is important for an improvement practitioner of any industry. It's more important in healthcare. And I'm going to drop my mic at least with one last comment, which is this: we don't get paid for quality in healthcare. I know healthcare reform's coming. It's been coming since I was in grad school. But as of today, a very small percentage of our book of business is reimbursing for quality. The rest of it is fee for service. That means that a not insignificant number of improvement projects that you will be involved with do not directly impact the bottom line, which means that telling the story of the impactfulness of your work is that much more important. You have to talk about the number of lives that you protected. You have to talk about the number of hours of wait that you eliminated for patients. You have to talk about the impact on patient experience that you had, because if we can't tell that story, there is no general ledger that's going to help us tell it. So this is the last piece for mine.
Thanks, Hurley. I hope you're seeing a little bit about this lecture series that we're participating in today. This is the Teamwork for Transformational Care. We're talking about how people can work together to transform healthcare, okay? I hope you're seeing some nuggets as we've talked through this. Hurley just gave you some. Jakaria showed you what it could look like. It was kind of a funny visual, but what it can actually feel like when you're working together. And Ryan talked about how this course has come together with that type of umbrella of thinking. This is our last slide for you all, and then we're going to open it up for discussion. But what I want you to think about here is your team, the people you work with that you try to solve problems with every day. Do these phrases, these statements that I'm going to share with you now, do they exist on that team? Can you feel them? Because if you can't, then there's something to work on as you think about teamwork for transforming healthcare. The first one, I hope you've felt it today. It's very real amongst the four of us. We trust each other. We have each other's back. When we talked about the content for this course, we trusted each other to the point where it's, Jakaria, you've got this one. We want you to take it. We trust you with this content. Deliver it. Ryan, you've got this one. Hurley, this one. And then I had some too. We were willing to have that ownership and entrust each other with it. Do you have that on your team? That's my question there. And then if you do, then you're showing your confidence in the expertise of others. Are you willing to humble yourselves to the point where you'll let someone else lead because you're confident in their expertise? Something I've seen across Stanford, I've worked here for 11 years, started a lot of different programs. The reason why I think this one is special is I haven't ever seen any one of the teachers, instructors, directors struggle with something that we struggle with across Stanford, which is often called founder syndrome. You guys heard of that? Founder syndrome. Sometimes they call it founderitis. It's this idea that it's a difficulty faced by many teams when one or more founders of the original standard, the original way of doing things, maintains disproportionate power. where one or more people that started the way you do things maintain disproportionate power. And therefore, you can't change. You can't create. You can't trust, because you're always having to bow down to that founder who's not letting go. If that hit any one of you in your heart, because you're either a victim of this or because maybe you're acting this way with your team, I encourage you to reflect. Because you may be either impeding improvement or teamwork because of the way you are holding on to how things were created in the beginning. Or if you've seen this happen and you're not that founder syndrome, but you're one that's experiencing it, talk to that person and say, look, I love how you created this thing. You created a great foundation, but it's time to move on. And here's some reasons why. The demand is different. Our culture is different. Here's some things we'd like to try. We've got to be willing to take that step.
Hey, Jake, I'd like to just tag on real fast on that, just to demonstrate that it'll stunt your growth. It'll stunt the growth of the course, the project, or whatever it is. And I want to call out Jake specifically because when I first jumped into this and became faculty was on year 2 of this program. It had already been going. It was designed by an outside group. Jake was the first, he was the director of it when I came on. And then soon after, he handed it to me to direct it. So he's practiced this. And I want to just call that out, because these are not things that we're just talking about, but these are things that we live these things. And if he hadn't done that, I don't know that it would have become what it is. Not because I took it, but because he was willing to give it. And then we were able to continue to sharpen each other and be vulnerable with it. Because it's one of those things where, I mean, very easy, you could hold on to it and not want to let it go. But if you trust the people you're with, boy, it can be magic. It really can.
And I think it also, there's different levels of it too, right? So what Jake is talking about could be at the, I founded this program, or I founded this protocol, or this is my workflow, but it can also be much smaller, right? I mean, I'll tell you right now, every time I put slides together for something I'm going to teach and then y'all give me feedback, I die a little bit inside, because I created those slides. They're mine, so they have to be awesome. And whatever you're saying cannot be right, because these are great. I have to, right, to humble myself and say, wait, they may have a point here. I need to take a closer look at that. It's difficult, but I think founder syndrome can be even in something as small as something that you've created, even if it's little.
Yeah. You gotta watch out for it.
Did y'all notice that he said they may have a point? He didn't say that we do.
Well, I mean, he may or may not. Yeah.
No,
Hurley's working on Hurley. Let him work on Hurley.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
I can't say you always have a point. I'm just
It's
saying.
okay. It's okay. We're moving forward.
Yeah, his reflection's coming pretty vocal right now. We appreciate your reflection, Hurley. It's good.
Yeah. So another thing about our team dynamic is we're basically in a bus that Jakaria is driving. Ryan, Jake, and I are pulling each other's hair out in the back, and Jakaria is saying, "Don't make me pull this thing over." That's another, I would say, description of how our dynamic works.
Yeah. The third point, I think we've made that one clear. Let's keep going, Ryan. Let's just go the rest of them here. I think this fourth one, so sure, you can have a lot of fun making your secret sauce. You all trust each other. Everything's good. But what you deliver, you've got to take seriously. You've got to be willing to face the brutal facts and say, guys, this thing we came up with, although we're friends and we love each other, I don't know if it's quality. Are we willing to do that? Have that conversation? Is someone willing to raise their hand in the room and say that? So we're not delivering something that's either low quality or put together too quickly or not very thorough. So that's something else I've seen this team do really well. And the passion is there. It makes it fun. Actually, because we're so passionate about this work, the points above actually come out a lot easier. So that's a little bit about our team. Guys, anything else you want to add before we close or offer any questions? Great. Well, thanks.
No.
I mean, that's what we wanted to share with you. That's what we really care about. I hope you've seen some things about teamwork that you can practice on your own, not just learn about this course we've created, which is fun and great, but more about how you can use some of these qualities, these characteristics in your own teams?
Yeah, so let me address a couple of things. If you're interested in the course itself, go to smci.stanford.edu. On there, go under courses. You'll see all the courses we have available, and this course is called the Specialist Course in Improvement Science. It's a couple of questions. Scholarships. We don't have scholarships. We do keep it at $2,000 for internal Stanford so that you can apply your tuition reimbursement. The recording will be available on the SMCI Teamwork site later today or tomorrow. And are there CME code? I actually don't know. I think that would be Jessica's a question for Jessica. Are there questions for us? Any questions or thoughts from
And Ryan, can we come off
group?
the pin view so we can see everyone? Is that possible?
Oh, yes.
And maybe
Absolutely. Let me do that.
we can engage that way.
The course begins every February of every year. We open applications toward the end of the year. However, you can actually go on right now and apply, and you'll be on the list. I actually recommend that if you're interested, because it does fill up. Yeah, it's not offered in the fall, unfortunately, not currently. There is quite a demand for the course, so it is growing. Let me also share, as you continue to add those, we do have an opportunity for those who are interested to get involved and share your improvement work. We have a quality symposium coming up this month. In fact, I'll ask if Ame would drop in the link to it. You can also find the information on the SMCI homepage. But if you're interested, this is a great opportunity to share your improvement work to leaders of all throughout our organization. All it takes is you putting in an application, or saying that you're interested in presenting, and then creating a poster. SMCI will actually print the posters for you, so you don't even have to worry about that, which is a pretty big deal. A lot of times when you present posters, you're required to print it, bring it, the whole thing. This one, it's plug and play. It's about as easy as it gets to get started in presenting improvement. So highly, highly, highly recommend doing that if you're at all interested in sharing.
Ryan, can I just go back to the course and a differentiator? One of the things that makes this course different is that if you choose to certify, you will get a coach. This is not something where we tell you, learn these tools, learn these skills, and then defend it. You'll have a coach. And we're really intentional about that level of support, which you won't find in many or most other programs, aside from the fact that we're also healthcare focused, which is also a differentiator from other programs that you'll see out there.
Which is why we keep the course, we keep it to under 50 people, because we want to make sure that we offer an excellence in coaching and limit the number that we can all take. So it's capped out by the amount of faculty that we have. And we also want to keep it small enough so that people can have dialogue throughout the course. So if there is individuals who are on this call, I'd love to hear your feedback as well, if you're willing to come off mute and share. The course is called the Specialist Course in Improvement Science. It was formerly known as the certification course, or the Black Belt course.
So, hi Ryan, hi everyone. So is the Black Belt course no longer offered? It's now this one?
It's the same course. Yeah, what we've done is we've integrated some of the content from CELT, the former course that we called CELT. We integrated that content into the Black Belt course, as well as into this, what we call the certificate, or the specialist course, and also into our advanced course in improvement science. So the differentiator is that the specialist course, you actually can just take the course. You don't have to go on to get your Black Belt. So if people wanted to do that, much like you would have done with CELT, you can just take the coursework. If you want to go on to get your black belt, you actually have to pass a written exam. You have to complete a project and then defend that project by December of the calendar year.
The idea is that other industries use black belt as a standard. And so if you're going to say that to other black belts, we want to make sure that you are equipped with all the same knowledge that they have, hence the defense, the written exam, but only if you choose to do so.
Is that a nationally standardized written exam?
Depends on your definition of standardized. It does not have a governing body the way a trade organization would that oversees the content. So you will see some variability, but generally speaking, it's teaching the same things. You'll see, different universities have different certification bodies that'll vary a little bit here and there. But yeah.
Thanks, Hurley.
Good afternoon. Just a quick question. And so for the $2,000, that would also cover if we decided to go on to the certification track. Is that all inclusive?
Yes.
Thank
For
you.
internal Stanford, it's all the same. It's all included.
Okay.
It's a quite a deal considering the cost external is $4,500, and that's actually still fairly reasonable if you look at the industry prices. We're still very, very, very competitive considering what we offer.
Sure. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we are about 6 minutes to time. So thank you all very much for listening to us, getting a chance to hear what we had to say, talk about our special sauce. We really, really appreciate the time that you spent. Reach out to any of us if you'd like more. Thank you.